Seduction is not unlike sales or marketing. And you're selling a product, you're selling a service, except the service is you. You're the product. So the seduction funnel is a system that helps you sell yourself better.
But temptations go girls all over the club. I get around. Grab honey by the waist. Don't let that dog get you wild. Please.
So let's get straight to it. Seduction funnel is a workflow. Basically, we go from awareness all the way to retention. And there are steps that we already take. Maybe they're not as, put together as this, but you already have a system. You just don't know what that system is. And when you don't have a system, then you leave a lot of things up to luck or chance, and you don't know where to improve because it's lucky. You don't know. You don't have the data. The seduction system is the process that allows you to visualize and analyze your connections, your interactions, so you can get better and more efficient. And that process goes from awareness to curiosity, data gathering, construction, objection ID, invitation, escalation, and retention. And let's get to the first one. So awareness, she needs to know you exist, right? Because if she doesn't know you exist, the rest of the steps are irrelevant. So you need visibility, proximity. You need to be in the vicinity. You need to be able to also be aware that she's aware. And once you get that awareness, where it could be as simple as some eye contact or some kind of interaction, something that she's aware, then now you can measure, okay, she's aware, and then to what level, right? Because there's some awareness that she's like obviously into you. She'll look at you in a way that she's giving you the signal. Other ones are a little bit more ambiguous, right? Especially in the beginning. So women tend to a lot of times not show 100% of what they think. So you need to be aware of that. And if you do have some awareness from her, move on to the next phase, which is curiosity, the hook. You already got the awareness. She knows you're there. Now, how do you approach? How do you do all of this? There's a couple of ways. The best way is organically for her to approach you. That's the best case scenario because that's half the work. And if she comes up and after the awareness, she comes and asks a question, a lot of times, don't mistake those innocent questions. Women are very, very, smart. So, when she's asking you something, depending on how she's asking, what's the context, that might be her approach. So take that into consideration and don't do double work. Now, most times it's not that way. Most times as men, we are the approachers. And if that's the case, then you need a hook. You need something to bring her attention. In sales, you have that hook. In seduction as well. So what is that hook? That hook can be as simple as a hi, all the way to extreme hooks. And the more extreme and the more complex your hook, the more memorable it is. So a hi, how are you? Good morning. You could just do that. Hey, how are you? How's the weather? Hey, it's raining outside. Small talk. It's not memorable. We do this all the time. Now, I have a friend. He's an extreme case. And he, for example, when he met his significant other, she was at a table at a Denny's or somewhere like that, eating with a group of friends after the club, late night. And she was drinking some hot coffee or hot cocoa. And he went up to the table and he put his finger in the drink. And he says, hey, this is cold. So he called the waitress over to bring her another drink. And, that worked out for him. She laughed like, this guy is crazy, which he was for doing that. But that's the hook, because to this day, that's a story that sticks. You never forget that. So when you create a hook, that's your first impression. That's the moment that could live on for years, if not for life. Keep that in mind. You don't have to be extreme. Actually, I recommend don't go putting your finger in people's drinks, anything like that. You need to understand that he also studied the field, so he knew her style. And he knew that she had a big probability to be open to that. There's some women that are not going to like that at all. And that's going to shut your chances if you don't end up going to jail or something. So keep that in mind, that your hook is for you. You got to be comfortable within that hook. And you can't just say you have a hook for all circumstances. Like that, my friend he happened to be at a restaurant. He was saying, how can I shock her into never forgetting me? Because even if he had no chance with her, she'll never forget that moment. And that's your first impression. You want to create special first impressions, and you want to do that consciously. You don't want that to be by luck or chance. So that's the hook. However, most people are not going to be extreme, or you might not have a hook that's going to be so elaborate. So it's as easy as customizing small talk to her. So instead of just saying, hi, how are you? How's the weather? Go into her, observe. Hey, I love those shoes. Hey, that's a great color on you. I love that dress, that blouse. Hey, that shirt, that's dope. That perfume, I want to get that for my mom. That smells so great. Like for her birthday, I want to get her that. What is that? And that's your hook. And then maybe go in and sniff it. Create a hook that you're comfortable. Don't be creepy also, because if you're not comfortable within your hook, it's going to seem creepy. So if small talk is your thing, hi, just say hi, right? Don't force yourself to be something that you're not. However, most of us, I think we can pull off an observation that's not common, right? You want to be unique as much as you can. So you want to point something out that's not obvious, and you want to be the outlier from all these other guys that probably are going to approach her. So that's the hook. Then we move to one of the most important parts that we do, but we don't do it consciously. It's data gathering. And data gathering is almost like what social media platforms do to us, right? They notice your pattern and they create algorithms based on that pattern, blah, blah, blah. With seduction, it's no different. You want to gather data. A lot of times, social media platforms, they don't tell you, hey, we're gathering. They tell you in their 10,000 page, privacy policy, but really, they don't tell you, hey, we're gathering data. We're seeing how many likes you like this and how many seconds you look at this picture. They're not telling you how they're gathering the data, but they are. But you don't care. It's like, hey, use it. And then the algorithm starts shaping itself to you. Same thing with seduction. You don't got to tell her. You start observing. Oh, I see that she's drinking pineapple rum. So she likes that. Oh, I see that she's wearing a lot of red. She likes that color. And then these are observations you can do without asking questions. Then there's the questions, start gathering data beyond the name in those simple things. Going to birthdays, going to zodiac signs, going to, do you live here? You live with your parents? Are your mom and dad around? All of these simple questions are going to give you data that you can later use to establish a better connection. And the data gathering doesn't stop after the first interaction, because obviously one of the most important data gathering things that we do is the number or Instagram, something you can contact her later. That's a given. I'm speaking of little details that you can keep and later go, okay, she said that her dog, blah, blah, blah. So, now later in a conversation, you bring up her dog. Hey, how's Fido? I heard he, is he feeling better? Whatever, all this data is going to make her feel that you paid attention. And that's going to give you a heads up later on. After the data gathering, you're going to use that data to begin to build in the construction. Just like you're constructing a building, you need a plot of land, and then you need a plan. You could, but it's not going to turn out well if you just start building no plan. Just, I'm going to just go outside. Go. No, you need to be patient. You need a plan. So the plan is, okay, we're going to build a 3-bedroom house, and then these are the materials we're going to use. And then you put that cement foundation. You got to wait. You got to be patient. You got to let that cement foundation settle in. It's got to dry. It might take several days to settle in. And then you might even have to do other things. And then you start building from there, brick by brick, You don't just put the roof on the first day, right? Like you gotta build the relationship. And the same thing with seduction. If you try to just build a house in one go, it's going to crumble at some point. So you got to lay the foundation and slowly build, unless she is ready to build quicker than you are. Then you follow her pace, right? So, but the construction is important because I think a lot of times we rush into just we want outcomes, we want results. And if that's the case, you're going to rush into things that may not work out, or it's never going to happen because you move too fast. Patience is key when it comes to seduction. After that, as you're building, you're going to encounter some objections. This is when you're building a building and the inspector comes in and says, you can't use that material, or you need a permit. You need to pay for a permit from the city. There's always going to be objections. You can't keep construction because it's raining, and you got to wait till the rain stops, or you don't have workers. You're always going to run into some friction, and that's perfect. If you don't run into some friction as you're building, it's too good to be true, because she's not perfect, you're not perfect. So the friction is going to be there, even if it's noticeable or not. So you have to make sure that you first identify the objections. You got to identify what are the holdups, and go and just get that elephant out of the room, right? Because it's obvious that when women ask you something, they're not very direct a lot of times. So they'll go into a question about a bigger issue, right? You have to be 5 steps ahead. So she's asking you about this, but it's not because of this, it's because of that, right? So, but it's because of that. So skip the explaining and all of those details and go into that. It's like, look, and be honest about that, or do whatever you got to do, but address the elephant in the room. Get the objections out of the way. This is very important, and later on it'll come in handy, because this is part of bonding as well. If she can see that you're not afraid to tackle the big issues head on, it's like, this is a manly thing, right? You want to show her that, hey, I know why you're asking that. Blah, go straight to the point. And that's going to make you feel, even though it might be uncomfortable addressing the objections at the time, it'll make her feel comfortable, because she'll learn to trust you. Like, okay, this guy is sharp, right? She can relax because she knows that you can see and you can read between the lines. She can see that brain of yours in power, in action, right? So objection identification, super important. Not just from her end, objections she might have about you, but objections you might have about her. Be completely honest, because a lot of times we try to hide these objections because, you're trying to smash or whatever. So you're like, oh yeah, I don't like that character flaw that she has. But no, there is no but. Address the character flaw. That's actually very, very good for her, for her to know that you notice something that you don't like. She may give an explanation that makes sense. She might not have an explanation, or she might just I don't know, but it's going to definitely be something that most guys don't do. Most guys will smile through all kinds of flaws and bad things because they're trying to get to smashing. They ignore all these flaws, and it's like, you can't do that. Just because you address or you bring up issues that don't fit with you, don't mean you won't smash. Actually, you may smash even quicker and better by being a man that has limits. And it's like, yo, what's this about? Or, address it. Now, don't accuse, just bring up issues that you need to bring up for yourself. She is going to open her up to bring those up as well. Because once you get these out of the way, you're free to go to the next one, which is the invitation. The invitation, this is where we rush, right? We skipped a lot of building. We skipped a lot of objection handling to get to the invitation. We want to go out. We want to, and it's like, wait, hold on, take your time. You'll go out, but she'll want to go out with you more if you take your time through all these steps. If you just go straight to the invitation, the value is lost, right? If it's too easy, it's just not as valuable as something you got to work for. So there's 3 types of invitations. Well, there's more, but there are 3 main levels. There's the low The low key invitation is no friction, no pressure. That's, hey, let's go get a coffee sometime. Hey, we should go, watch a movie. We should, at some point, at some time, you throw in a little hint, and hopefully she takes it and it grows from there. But that's usually what men who are insecure or that are not sure will do, because they don't want to be rejected. They're afraid of that rejection. They have that fear, and she can see that. So that ambiguous invitation could work if she's really into you. But at the end of the day, the percentage rate of it working is not high, because she can say, yeah, we should do that sometime, and that it's right there. So at some point, you got to move to the high key invitation. That's the one that puts pressure into making it happen, right? You don't want to waste your time. So you go into a yes or no mode where it's like, hey, why don't we go this Friday, get something to eat? I know this restaurant. Whatever your thing is an invitation that has specifics. So you go into, a place or a time, and then it's up to her to accept or not. And that high key invitation is putting the ball in her court, like saying, hey, we moved up to here. Like, are we moving which way? Forward, backwards? What are we doing? And that's great. That's a lot of confidence, especially if you know she's feeling you and she wants that. Go for it. Secure that time, that place. Now, let me tell you about one that is probably the most effective, which is the no key invitation, which is it's a dynamic invitation without the pressure. Meaning, hey, me and my friends are watching the game Sunday at such and such place. You should come, right? That's making an invitation that's very specific, yet not putting pressure on her, saying yes or no, right? She may say, oh yeah, that sounds fun. Great, you won. Or she might say, no, I work that day. Is that okay? And then maybe she suggests another day, or, so it opens the invitation stage for her to chime in and let you know how interested she is. Also, the low pressure, or the no pressure, is that it allows you to follow up to, okay, no worries. If you've changed your mind, I'm going to be there. Right. So now that allows her to think about it. Some women, especially if they're introverted, they need a little bit of time to make decisions. Also, you may add the card if you can read her, and she may be, some women are awkwardly social or whatever. So you say, hey, if you want to bring a friend, go ahead. Because now that gives her freedom to be like, hey, I'll take this risk because I'll go with my bestie or whatever. So that invitation is very low pressure, yet very effective, because you leave room for follow-up, and the rejection won't feel like rejection if you can do that. Some women prefer for you to be straight out. And if that's the case and you feel that, do the high key. The low key, I would have recommended, just because that's what everybody does. And she's heard it before, right? So sometimes if you're not sure, it's better to just take the high risk. You don't want to be, if she's going to friend zone you, right? If she's not feeling you anyway, might as well know sooner than later. Why waste your time? Then we're going to the escalation. Here is where your mind needs to shine. This is where your seduction intelligence needs to come through. There is no right or wrong. There's no cookie cutter here. This is where you're there with her. What's the vibe? You got to be able to read that. And you really won't be good at this until you do this a lot. Because if you don't do this a lot, you may misread cues or not read certain cues, and the escalation is going to be awkward, or it's not going to happen. So if you plan to escalate, it doesn't have to be always be sexually, sometimes it's just a little bit of a touch. And then, seeing where that goes. Sometimes, you feel the butterflies because you got to make that bold move and go for the kiss, or whatever it is. You have to escalate, because if not, what are you doing? Right? If you going out on a date with her, or you're going out, it's because you're attracted to her, and if she's not feeling the same way back, then you might as well know, right? Even if it's uncomfortable or painful, like, take it and move on, rather than Go on several dates and just, nah, don't do that. Don't waste your time. Don't waste her time. And then also your boldness is going to let her know what you're about. You're a confident man, and this is who you are. And she's either with it or she's not. And most likely she wouldn't even be on a date. There wasn't at least a percentage that she was with it, right? So you gotta take advantage of the presence. If you got her in a situation where you're like next to her, you have to escalate a little bit and just probe and see where that goes. Sometimes you escalate just a little bit and she'll take it, oh, she was waiting for that. She'll take it a million, right? Other times she's not ready or whatever it is. You want to go into that space. You want to move into that stage from, getting to know each other to the escalation stage, because that's really what's going to let you know where you move forward from here. Because moving from here, after the escalation, if it was successful, then you got to figure out retention. Retention, people also don't take it into consideration a lot. And retention is, okay, the escalation worked and you guys hooked up or whatever it was. Is this a person you want to keep in your life, right? Is this a person that aligns with your values and what you're looking for? And that's why before you even start the seduction funnel, actually, I have a video somewhere where I talk about being a seduction sniper, where you create a profile for you as a sniper, and then you create her profile. You don't know her, but you got to know what you like. It's like, I like this, and that. And you got to see if her profile fits your values on who you are, what you're looking for, the type of person you want in your life. And retention, I've made the mistakes, several mistakes, where you retain relationships and you shouldn't have, right? Like, but you hid red flags, you didn't address objections, you were just in it for the ride, and and years later you look back, you're like, I didn't even want to be here. Now I'm in a situation, right? This is the part, that retention part is very important, because if you want to build, this is a person that you like and they like you back and you want to build from there, go right ahead. Perfect. That's great for you. But if you have hesitations, you got to be careful with just keeping people that are not right for you because you feel whatever your reason is. Don't do that. It's like keeping charger cables. I still got BlackBerry charger cables because I'm a cable hoarder, right? So I have a hard time throwing out, like, well, maybe one day I'll need it. It's like, nah, we got to learn to let it go, to detach. If that person, maybe they're at 80%, they're great, but once you got that but, you got to really slow down, right? Because a lot of times we try to hide that 20% as if it's never relevant. And years later, that comes back and bites you. So be careful with the retention part. And if you want to maintain the connection, you can maintain it. There's also different types of connections you maintain, right? You can move into friendships, or you can move into serious relationships, or you can just be acquaintances, whatever it is. But this is a decision you have to make. Don't let life or the circumstances make the decision for you. Make it consciously, right? Make it consciously. Who do I want to keep in my life? And that's basically the seduction funnel. I help people, friends of mine or whatever, with this, because a lot of times we get stuck, including myself. That's the reason I created this, because I was like, there's a system and I'm not getting the system. I kept failing at particular steps because I didn't understand the data that I was gathering. And now that I do, I'm able to put it in a system that, even though it sounds scientific and anti-romantic, it really is good for you, because you're able to organically now filter out the bad and receive the good. So it's important for you to understand that you're going to do it anyway. So don't leave it up to luck. I think that's worse. I think it's better to have a system that you at least understand how the sales seduction process works. And actually, this works in the other way around for sales as well. I mean, this is exactly how sales work. You get that client with a hook, and then you get that customer to want to be interested in your product, and you sell it to them. And then there's customer service, and then you want to upsell them a product. It's no different in seduction. Actually, it's more important here, because you're talking about someone that may be sharing a home with you. This is a person that may make or break your life, right? So this is even more important. So So if you have any questions, I don't charge for this or any of that. I'm not selling courses or guru or nothing like that. I do this because I love the research and the people that I talk to, experts. I talk to experts from all over the place. And I did this because I've been at bad places, bad situations, a million heartbreaks, a million things that I needed to slow down and learn. I wasn't learning what I needed to learn. And now I haven't learned everything, but at least I'm in the process of knowing where to get the information. So on my Substack, if you go to SeductionEd.com and the chat, if you comment funnel, I will send you the funnel, the seduction funnel, because you can actually customize this for you. Because like I said, we all have different hooks. We have a style, if you're funny, there's different styles of approach, and the funnel is going to shape you to attract the right customer, the right person into your life. So if you have any questions, hit me there. I'm very responsive because I've had questions before, and you don't have anybody that can help you. So creating a community that we can share from each other. I've learned so much from meeting a lot of you, because sometimes I didn't understand something that one of you may have the experience in that, and let me know something that has changed me for the better. So for me, it's a give, right? So if you want to join me there, you go to SeductionEd.com, put your email, and then you can subscribe to the podcast, and then just click on the chat and you comment funnel or whatever you want to say, and then open a conversation there. Like I said, I'm very responsive, and I definitely respond to all the comments, to every single suggestion that you give. So I really appreciate you watching this. If you know someone that can use this information, make sure you share it, and or someone that needs it, like share it with them, and make sure that you're subscribed as well. So until next time, peace.